Hi, my name is Heidi Otterman, and I've been a teacher for 20 years. I've taught kinder through 6th grade, with the majority of my time being in 1st grade. I'm also the mother of 5 children, the oldest of which has high-functioning autism. My role as a parent has always come first. It's why I became a teacher in the first place. Having a son with ASD has been a roller coaster ride. It's scary, even terrifying at times, never knowing what's around the next corner. But the highs have always far outweighed the lows. My son Will continues to amaze us at the age of 20. He's a remarkable artist with an eye like few have. As he studies to become a photographer, it is breathtaking to see the world through his lens. I encourage you as parents to ride out those tough times and stick with the hard work. Be as consistent as humanly possible and watch the genius in your child emerge. It will be worth every drop of sweat you invest. I've spent the past several years running the special education program at a large summer camp. I have a bachelor's degree in deaf studies from Cal State University Northridge and a multi-subject teaching credential from Cal State University San Bernardino. During my studies, I chose to take several special education classes and worked in an autistic program at Cal State University San Bernardino. I am the identified teacher on campus who's willing to take any special needs child into my classroom. I always say there's one of us on every campus. Therefore, my class usually looks more like a reverse mainstream classroom than a typical classroom. For the past 3 years, I've had the pleasure of piloting Speech Kingdom, and I can tell you it has changed my classroom in massive ways. Not only is it a tool for my students to use and learn from, but I've learned valuable lessons about working with my students and how to better communicate with my students. I'd like to share 4 of my stories with you. I've changed the names of the students to protect their identity. The first would be Andrew. He's a 19-year-old young man. He identifies himself as high-functioning autistic. He graduated from high school and currently attends a junior college in his neighborhood. Being 19, he was not enthusiastic about sitting down with me to look at Speech Kingdom, but after creating an avatar that looked like him, he was willing to take a peek. I chose to share a few of the social stories with him in areas I knew he was struggling. When he saw the fundamental skills for following your schedule, waking up with your alarm, and putting your laundry away, with his avatar in the scenes, he asked me if the creator of the program was spying on him in his bedroom. This is the strong, powerful connection I see repeatedly when I use Speech Kingdom with my students. Next, Brian. He is a 1st grader. He's 7 years old, and he has a brother identified with ASD. Brian is currently unidentified, but his mother's working to have him tested. The behavior that most interfered with Brian's success in the classroom was meltdowns when something unexpected happened. I introduced him to Speech Kingdom by having him help me create his avatar. Then we created his mom's avatar. At this point, he became highly interested in what came next. I showed him the fundamental skill in the self-regulation section, titled Little Problem, Little Reactions. After using the program once, his mother came to me the next day and asked, "What is this little problem, little reaction thing?" I shared Speech Kingdom with her, and she reported to me that he was using the skill at home. He was using self-talk when confronted with a stressful situation. She could hear him saying, "Little problem, little reaction." He was able to calm himself and move on. This was after one introduction lesson. Of course, I continued on with lessons, but honestly, it was often just a verbal cue by me that would remind him how to talk himself through situations. We were able to get to a point where he was no longer having meltdowns in the classroom rather quickly. Then there's Chris. He's 6 years old and he's in first grade. He's not currently or has he ever been identified with any known disability. When I met Chris, if someone was not perfect in his eyes or things didn't go the way he anticipated, he began screaming and crying uncontrollably for up to 90 minutes at a time. Neither I nor other professionals were able to talk him down, and he was not responding to any of the other interventions we tried. I began the same process with him by introducing Speech Kingdom when he was calm and by creating his avatar with him. I used the social story in the self-regulation category, meltdowns at school. Right away, I noticed he was receptive to the tools, like a stress ball that he had previously rejected. Once he had the stress ball, we could work on calm breathing techniques. We reviewed the social story first thing every morning. Little by little over time, he began using the strategies independently. He still has teary moments, but no more meltdowns in class. David holds a special place in my heart. He's 7 years old. He's diagnosed with high-functioning autism. He had severe behaviors of hitting, kicking, biting, yelling, throwing things, running around the room, disrupting the class most of the day. During kindergarten, his day was shortened due to behaviors, and 4 days into first grade, he was removed from his regular education class because he bit and kicked the teacher. He was transferred to my regular education classroom in hope that a change in teacher might help. I immediately introduced David to Speech Kingdom. He enjoyed creating his avatar, and he was willing to watch a lesson together with me. The next day, he entered the class and asked if he could do Speech Kingdom. I then established Speech Kingdom as part of his morning routine. He was not often willing to sit with me or his aide and discuss the lessons. Rather, he wanted to watch them by himself. I was, however, able to use the same vocabulary and skills taught in Speech Kingdom lessons so that he was able to identify with the program. Often he would comment, "That's in Speech Kingdom." He in turn began responding appropriately, and over time, he would allow an adult to sit with him and discuss the lessons. It took over a month, but David went from being a constant major disruption in my classroom to a student that could not be identified by professionals observing in my room. He still struggles with outbursts, but they very rarely take place in the classroom. I was asked in his IEP meeting, "What did you do?" My response was, "Yes, I have experience working with students on the autism spectrum, but I know the thing that helped David the most was the implementation of Speech Kingdom." This student had over a year of therapy, a one-on-one aid, speech therapy, behavior therapy, adaptive PE, you name it, he had it. None of them had seen the improvement in behavior until he was in my classroom. I believe there were many more professionals involved in his life that had more knowledge and experience with autism than myself. Yet they all thought I had some kind of magic wand. Maybe Speech Kingdom is my magic wand. Each of these students benefited from the use of Speech Kingdom. They transferred the skills they saw and practiced in Speech Kingdom into their real life experiences. They strongly identified with their avatar as an identity of themselves. And when struggling, they accepted the use of Speech Kingdom as a tool to help them. All 4 students had significantly noticeable behavior improvements that have been commented on by special education coordinators and teachers, behaviorists, therapists, speech teachers, special education one-on-one aides, principals, and vice principals. And when they ask me what I'm doing with these students, my first answer is always Speech Kingdom. We will always use teaching practices as well as everything we've learned along the way, but this program puts a highly effective tool in our hands, and more importantly, in the hands of struggling students. I encourage you as parents, teachers, therapists, whatever your role might be, try this program and let us hear your stories. Speech Kingdom can be a tool to help you identify the steps along the journey to helping students reach their full potential and become more independent along the way. Thank you for your time, and I really do look forward to hearing your Speech Kingdom story.